Hey, it's me, Riker. Today we're going to have a look at Veithael, the Shining Sword from the Celestial faction. Now, this hero wears leather-based gear, is part of the tank class, and his primary role is to significantly distract the enemies and reduce the amount of incoming damage that was intended for your teammates. So let's have a look at his skills. His ultimate skill, Warmonger. Veithael gains 50 energy points per second if he's not being currently controlled, but loses 150 energy points per second if he's being controlled. When using his ultimate skill, Veilful spends 300 energy points to swing his sword, damaging nearby enemies for 340% of his attack rating. After using his ultimate, every time Veilful uses a skill, he'll spend 350 energy points to trigger an energy burst, damaging all enemies in front of him for 10% of his maximum health. Energy burst damage cannot exceed 500% of his own attack rating. When Veilful energy falls below 350 points, he'll stop triggering energy bursts until he uses his ultimate again. Veilful will not use his ultimate while an energy burst can still be triggered. So this is a significant portion of his damage, and this is the reason why he's used in battle, because of this energy regeneration and this continuing triggering of this energy burst skill. The level 2 reduces the energy consumed for triggering an energy burst to 250 points. That is down 100 points from 350 points. And the level 3, each time Veilful deals damage with an energy burst, the damage he receives is permanently reduced by 5%. This effect can be stacked up to a maximum reduction of 40%, so this is a significant amount of damage reduction that he can attain. His next ability, Brutal Backswing. Veilful's max health is increased by 30% at the start of battle. His health percentage remains unchanged. When Veilful takes damage, it will reduce his max health until it reaches its original value. Veilful charges forward, damaging enemies for 240% of his attack rating and knocks them back. He then returns and swings his sword, which damages enemies for 320% of his attack rating, stunning them for 1 second and healing him for 25% of his max health. For the duration of the skill, Veilful receives 40% less damage. If this skill triggers an energy burst, enemies will be stunned for 5 seconds longer. So 1 second plus 5 seconds, that is a total of 6 seconds that he can stun an enemy when using this specific ability. The level 2 increases the charge damage to 280%. The level 3 reduces the amount of damage Veilful receives by 50% of this for the skill's duration. And level 4, Veilful is immune to control effects for the skill's duration. His next ability, Hear No Evil. If Veilful is about to be inflicted with a control effect, he negates the effect and swings his sword, damaging enemies for 260% of his attack rating and interrupting their casting. For each enemy hit, Veilful is healed for 100% of his attack rating. This skill can only be triggered once every 15 seconds. If this skill triggers an energy burst, enemies hit by the energy burst permanently lose 3 points of insight and 3 points of proficiency. The level 2 increases the damage to 320%. The level 3, for each enemy hit, Veilful is healed for 120% of his own attack rating. So as you can see, because of these two abilities, the Brutal Backswing and the Hear No Evil, he can gain a significant amount of damage reduction and self-healing just from these two abilities. The level 3 or 30 engravings. The cooldown of this skill is reduced by 12 seconds if the skill triggers an energy burst. Enemies hit by energy burst permanently lose 6 points of insight and 6 points of proficiency. His next ability, Head Held High. Head Held High is considered a normal attack for Veilful. When used, it damages enemies in front of him 2 times for 140% of his own attack rating. If the skill triggers an energy burst, the energy burst deals additional damage equal to 10% of Veilful's max health. The passive, each time Veilful deals damage, he gains 1% attack rating increase, stacking up 20 times, that is 20% increased attack rating. At maximum stacks, Veilful gains 25% physical pierce if Veilful is being controlled. he will lose the attack rating and physical pierce buffs. So if he gets controlled by any of the abilities from the enemies, he will lose the 20% attack rating and the 25 physical pierce. Now, this is pretty significant for him, as this significantly buffs his damage, as most of his damage comes from the energy burst skill. The level 2 and 3 increase the damage to 180 and 220% respectively, and the level 4 or 60 engravings attack rating is increased to 1.5%. That can be stacked 20 times. So let's have a look at his signature item, Godly Physique. When you unlock this specific signature item, the max health bonus that Veithael receives at the start of battles increased by 50%. So this goes from 30% max health to an extra 45% max health. His health percentage remains unchanged. The level 10. Every 1% bonus to Veithael's max health increases his attack rating by 1% up to a maximum of 50%. So any hero that can essentially increase the max health of the specific hero will drastically increase the amount of damage the specific hero deals. Every 1% bonus to Veithael's max health increases his dodge points by 3 points to a maximum of 150 points. And the level 30, all allied heroes gain 100% of the attribute bonus from Godly Physique. So this is the attack rating and the dodge point buff. So this is a pretty significant buff, especially when paired up with other damage dealers or other heroes that need a bit of dodge or a bit of attack rating in order to use their respective abilities. So let's have a look at his furniture. His 3 out of 3, Boundless Potential. When an energy burst is triggered, every 1% bonus to Veithael's max health increases the maximum damage of the energy burst by 2% of his own attack rating. The 9 out of 9. When Veithael receives excess healing, it increases his maximum health up to 100% of his original max value. So this is essentially double his health. His health percentage remains unchanged. So this is a pretty significant buff to him, especially when he is paired up with other damage dealers or other support-based heroes in order to deal damage. So let's have a look at how he does in battle. So because of his abilities, it would be best to pair him up with a stall-based or other heroes that essentially can make him immune to control effects so that he can keep on triggering his energy burst, gaining max health, and increasing his allies' damage. So as we can see over here, I put him on the front row with another tank. So the other heroes will significantly distract the enemies while he keeps on significantly buffing his allies. So there we go, he's on the front row, and we can see that he's immediately using his abilities, and each time he uses one of his abilities, he gets the energy burst skill. Now this is the main source of his damage, and the reason why he can do sometimes even a significant amount of damage when paired up with other heavy damage dealers in the team. So as we can see, both Kanisu and Athalia, the new hero Veithael, is able to even compete with them in terms of damage as well. So let's have a look at how he does at a much significant level deficit. So in this level deficit, this is a 200 level deficit. Now from these tests that I've done over here, we can see that in stall-based teams or teams that allow him to survive for much longer duration, so either in energy cycle teams or stall-based teams, he is able to buff up his allies significantly, and this allows himself and his allies to deal more damage. However, in burst-like teams, such as this one over here, where there's not many healers who can't increase his attack rating and therefore increase his allies' attack rating, he does not perform as well. So this is another burst team. We can see that he did not do a significant amount of damage. Here is another team where this is a control heavy team. However, because he dies immediately as soon as he walks out into battle, he can't perform extremely well. Now this is another team. So in this team over here, he essentially runs forward, gets one-shotted. However, his allies are able to survive and one-shot the enemies. So the best teams, as I mentioned, would be stall-based teams. So this would be an Aonog Razul team, or this can be an energy cycle team. So what do I mean by energy cycle team? This is the Rowan, Aziz, and Twins. So this team will essentially keep him topped up and allow him to max out his damage potential. Now, in addition to this, the energy cycle team will keep on healing him. So this will significantly boost his allies' attack rating and their dodge rating as well. So, what is the minimum investment that I would recommend into this hero? I would recommend getting his 9 out of 9 furniture. This so that he can buff up his allies significantly through his healing. When he is healed, he's able to benefit his allies' attack rating and dodge rating stats as well. In addition, I would also recommend getting his 30 out of 30 signature item, as this is a pretty significant buff. 100% of the attribute bonus that he gains, so this is the attack rating and dodge rating, he will be able to provide for his allies as well. And because if he's paired up with a strong healer or a healer that can permanently keep him up at 100%, he'll permanently keep buffing his allies. However, his engravings are not that specifically strong for him. However, the bonus HP stats that they will provide for him might be a pretty significant buff if you're in a heavy damage or a heavy healing based team.